WrestleMania 38 is in the books, so you know what that means. It is review time here on SCW. Nights 1 and 2 are going to be covered on this review, and I'm not alone. I'm joined by the one, the only Jonesy Chats Wrestling. George, how are you doing?
Very well. It's great to be here. Thank you for having me back on the channel. I can't believe we've just had 2 nights of WrestleMania. Exciting stuff.
It's absolutely flown by, hasn't it? It's been, I tell you what, it's been a heck of a weekend. So much wrestling to cover, but of course, we're going to cover the entirety of WrestleMania on this show. So if you please could like, share, subscribe as well, and leave any comments as well if you want to get involved in the conversation. Look forward to interacting with you. I've got to say, Jonesy, I'm feeling stupendous. Are you?
Yeah, I'm feeling really stupendous. We've got Raw tonight as well. That's always an entertaining show, isn't it? Like the night after WrestleMania as well.
Absolutely. Veer is coming, but less said about that for the moment, the better. We'll perhaps cover that if we can towards the end of the stream. But WrestleMania 38, just quickly before we dive in things into chronological order, what were some of your major highlights?
Yeah, I think you got to go with the Cody Rhodes versus Seth match. Absolutely incredible. I love the whole build of that. I think they've done that to a T. I also love the whole sort of Pat McAfee came out as a star again. Logan Paul came out as a star again. These are celebs they've brought in that look great. But my favourite highlight of the weekend, I'm a nostalgia buff. I'm going to have to go with Damian Priest and Edge. That for me, like I was like, that's just excellent. That's just kind of what I want to see. But I enjoyed it. I think overall the shows were quite entertaining. Strange enough, I preferred night 2, which is kind of controversial. Everyone I know really liked night 1, but it did what it needed to do. To be fair, I think there was some stuff around the edges probably wasn't the best, but yeah, I just think it was the right people kind of went over generally, which was really good to see.
Yeah, I have to agree. A lot of the results I felt were right. There was a couple that took me by surprise. Particularly Charlotte Flair, Ronda Rousey. That one really surprised me. But I think actually it could prove to be the right decision long term, if you're being honest about it, because Ronda Rousey is no longer unbeatable. Already on this spell, last time she didn't lose until she left the company. This time she's lost straight away. I believe this is her third, fourth matchup since the Rumble. So she's already lost the match, and that makes other matches in the future feel a bit more, I don't know, interesting, intriguing. It's not going to be like, oh, it's just one-sided. Rousey's definitely winning.
Yeah, I think definitely it just shows that even if you think you got the best idea of what's going to happen, WWE always throw a swerve out there. I was glad I didn't bet this pay-per-view. That's for sure. I lost some money, I think.
Absolutely. I would have said the same on that one. But I've got to say to you, I'm actually going to throw it out early. I think night 2 might have just stole it for me as well. I was thoroughly sports entertained on that second night. And I've got to say, the first night as well, there was some great stuff on both shows. So let's kick things off, shall we? Then let's go straight into night 1. We're going to split it into 2 sections of this video, cover night 1, then we'll go through night 2. So obviously, we started off then with America the Beautiful, as we usually do. But Mark Wahlberg on both nights in the intro video package. I thought this was really good. This felt really big time, having a big Hollywood actor involved there. Did that get you a bit hyped for WrestleMania, just seeing that?
Yeah, really. I think it's great to show that it shows just how big the event is. And the fact they did a separate video package for night 2, that was really, really good. Usually it's the same one again and again. So I just think it was a nice touch, really. But Mark Wahlberg, great star. Yeah, this is the biggest event of the year. So they had to do that. I really like that they're doing that. That really makes it feel huge.
It really, really does. I mean, obviously with America the Beautiful as well, having big stars both nights as well, doing those, singing those songs. And obviously, we started with the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders as well. They just added a bit of a retro feeling, if you like, your Nitro girls back in WCW days.
Yeah, definitely. Very nostalgic.
It was indeed. And I've got to say, we kick things off then with the SmackDown Tag Team Championship match with the Usos against Shinsuke Nakamura and Rick Boogs. And I've got to say, McAfee was on fire during this entrance. I mean, he definitely had a WrestleMania-sized reaction to these two coming through. I think even jumping air guitar off the announce table I thought was really, really fun. This match, though, unfortunately took a bit of a sad turn. Unfortunately, Rick Boogs, of course, suffering a horrendous injury in this match. Of course, the wear down was on Nakamura through the match, and obviously the hot tag was made to Boogs. He was then doing lots of power moves, if you want, with the Usos, sort of going to his knees, picking up, doing suplexes. He then goes for like a double Samoan drop, and his leg just sort of buckles. And you think to yourself, is it part of the story or is it legit? And you can see very, very quickly it was legit. And sadly, it looks like he's torn his quadricep and also his patella tendon as well. It ended up being 2-on-1 for the remainder of the match. But hey, Shin and the Usos did a great job with the remainder of the time they had left. Of course, Shin kicked out of the Uso splash, but then, of course, he was hit with the 1D, and we see the Usos retain. I thought what was quite a nice touch as well was the fact that the Usos, or the Bloodline, if you want, kicked off WrestleMania Night 1, also closed WrestleMania on Night 2. I thought that was quite a nice little detail there.
Yeah, definitely. I think this was an okay match. They did what they could. I'm sorry about the injury. I'm really disappointed about the injury. Interesting note: Sokoa in NXT did exactly the same spot on Saturday and kind of couldn't do it. Like he picked two people up and he fell over. He did get injured as well. But yeah, it's a shame to see it. But the right people went over. Usos won. I would hope they would have won anyway, even if there wasn't this injury. But it was an okay way to start the show, and I think they did well. Like because they had to cut the match early. I think the whole way that they cut the match, you wouldn't have known it was legitimate by the way they carried on. I thought it was done really well, to be fair.
They absolutely covered it superbly. I didn't, at the time, and say you couldn't tell immediately if it was full on injury or not. But Rick Boogs' style in the ring, how do you, where he's doing a lot of power moves like pressing superstars up, going to his knees, and then going for suplexes? Is it a bit of a dangerous style? Should he sort of adapt when he hopefully can return in 6 to 12 months' time?
It's a bit reckless. He's trying to be a bit like a Taz to certain speak, but yeah, maybe adapt. Like it's one thing lifting one person, but lifting two people, you're not Ken Patera, so just slow down.
Yeah, absolutely, indeed. We've got our first comment, by the way, just before we move on. Martin Correa here saying, "What's up, Stephen Jonesy? Any of you two want to get a stunner from Steve Austin? I would honestly say that you guys won't be able to sell it as legendary as Vince McMahon. I'm sure we wouldn't. To be honest, really though, if you was ever on a WrestleMania, had a chance to take a Stone Cold Stunner, you'd take that moment all day long, even how bad it
Of course you
looked.
would. Of course you would. Of course you take it all day long. But yeah,
Made of.
that's nostalgia for you, isn't it? Definitely.
Absolutely. Stuff that dreams are made of there. Absolutely. But to give you your rating then for the SmackDown Tag Team Championship match, what would you give it out of 5 stars?
I'd say 2.5 out of 5. It did what it needs to do. It was an opener. The Usos are there. The right person won. I'm just sorry about the injury, really. But yeah, 2 out of 5, really, mate.
I think 2 out of 5 is a fair reflection on that. We follow it up then with Drew McIntyre versus Happy Corbin with Madcap packages on WrestleMania. Do you miss Broke Corbin by any chance?
Yeah, I missed parts of it. I quite enjoyed that whole build up with him having no money. I think that's quite good. But yeah, I miss it in parts. I think Baron Corbin, he's kind of grown on me. I wasn't a particularly big fan of Baron Corbin originally, but the character's quite good. They're doing the best they can. And this match for me, I thought it was a good match, considering everything. I knew it was going to be kind of solid. The kick out from the end of days was a nice touch as well. I had to keep telling myself ultimately that Drew should be somewhere much higher up the card, but the right person went over again, which this was an okay match. This is the end of the feud, I hope, as well, which is good, finally.
Yeah, absolutely. It should be the end of the feud. Like you say, there, one of the big moments there was kicking out at the end of days there. And, that's a big moment because that's got to be one of the most protected finishes in WWE. So to see that someone finally kicked out of it, I think was a really, really nice touch. And of course, Drew seems like a suitable superstar to do so. It makes his stock just seem that much bigger, even if this match didn't seem so big time. DT and a Claymore for the victory. McAfee as well at one point was on the ring apron as well, causing a bit of a distraction when Corbin was in control. Feels like the tension will remain there, but of course McAfee did want to get involved. The sword with Angela was involved as well for Drew McIntyre, cutting the ring ropes. And on my notes here it says we're going to need a video package, Jonesy.
Yeah, definitely. I think the first of many video packages, shall we say.
Absolutely, it certainly was indeed there. And the thing is, at that time I was like, it's definitely needed because they're going to need to put that ring back together. But did you notice after that the ring ropes weren't perfect after that? Did you notice it? Was it just me?
It was just you, my friend. It shows you paid attention to it. No, I didn't. I didn't see that.
Honestly, if you go back to night one, just look at the bottom rope compared to the rest. And I don't know.
Yeah,
They
were rushing, wasn't they? To be fair, rushing.
It was a nitpick. Bit of a nitpick for me. I'm sitting there going, I need that straightened up. I don't know. Probably says more about me than anybody else. Martin Career is saying it's pretty crazy to say this, but honestly, can say that Rick Boogs and
yeah, I think that's a fair point by Martin. Maybe they could be top baby faces. McAfee though, yeah, definitely 100%. Rick Boogs, he has got a lot of charisma. Would he be better channeled as a manager rather than just a wrestler? To be fair, potentially, we'll see.
We will see indeed. But speaking of top faces, what about top heel? Logan Paul. Wow, what an impressive performance. Him and The Miz going against the Mysterios. For me, I was better than what I was expecting, Jonesy, because Logan Paul hit a perfect power slam. He hit, a perfect, Three Amigos. Did the sort of Viva la Raza a la Eddie. Did the frog splash. Paul, was in an element of his own here? Because I must admit, he really impressed me.
Yeah, I think he was excellent for a celeb brought in. We didn't see much of him at WrestleMania last year when he was in that spot with Sami Zayn. I just think he really, really is good, and the heel heat he got was amazing. This match was an okay match again. Like I just think went into it not expecting much, and it delivered definitely.
It certainly did. As we went to the finish of the match as well, of course, Logan Paul was sort of trapped, showed their sort of novice side, if you want, ended up in a double 619. But the Miz at the same time got the blind tag, didn't he? And then that's why he could kind of get the advantage. Skull crushing finale, picking up the pinfall for the team. I wondered if the Miz and Logan Paul could be an actual team going forward. It seemed to have this natural heat charisma going on with these two. But of course, natural WWE, they can't wait to split up a tag team. Miz turned on Logan Paul straight afterwards. Are we seeing this in the short term, or could this be all the way to WrestleMania 39?
I think the short term, I don't know if Logan Paul will carry on in WWE. Like, I just think the amount of money, like he's obviously charging probably, but you never know. I thought it was a strange move. Like, the Miz got the pinfall, which I didn't see happening. That was a total shock to me. Never called that. But no, strange way to finish it. And all I'm going is that everyone hates Logan Paul, so probably that's why it was kind of okay. But weird, really weird to see the Miz in a potential babyface part role of it. It was just really weird.
It was indeed. That was the question I just got here from Jason. By the way, thank you, Jason, for your comment. Does it make him the babyface? Because fans cheered the Miz, didn't they? They didn't cheer Logan Paul afterwards.
Everyone hates Logan Paul, though. That's kind of probably why. But maybe it depends. Like the thing for me, if you can't get Logan Paul back, there is somebody already in NXT that can take that spot straight away. Grayson Waller for me, he could do exactly the same as Logan Paul. I don't know if he's good in the rim, but he can. He's got the charisma, hasn't he? In my opinion.
Waller will get on there, hopefully Grayson Waller will be called up at some point in the near future, because I'm actually really enjoying his work in NXT. But this match, like you're saying, if it's short term, perhaps WrestleMania Backlash.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I could see that definitely.
Could certainly be. After that, we had Stephanie McMahon coming out, thanking the fans, introducing Gable Steveson, showcasing him as a future star. It seems he was showcased a lot over this WrestleMania weekend.
Yeah, definitely. It's great to see them get him out there. My only real concerns of him of the weekend, really, I'd say, was he's not very good on the mic. So what they need to do is when he comes up and he's debuting, get Malcolm Bivens with him. Malcolm Bivens is a great talker. That's kind of what I would do.
I think that's a really good shout there. I seem to have lost Jonesy, or Jonesy has lost me in the meantime. Hopefully,
I'm back.
You're back there. That's good. Yeah, I didn't know if it was me or if it was you at that point, but certainly,
I've got you now. Or you lost me. I can hear you. There we go. We're back. Yeah.
There we go. So apologies, anyone, for watching at the moment. But it's. I like your shout on Malcolm Bivens.
Yeah, no problem at all. So with the sort of, I don't know how much of that you heard, Steve. So all I was saying with it is that Gabe Steveson, he's going to be the next big thing. Clearly, you can see that he doesn't really have the charisma. I've not really got that vibe from him so far on the mic that I've heard. But I think he's going to be good. Did you get that vibe from him, or was it just me?
I think that Gabriel Stevenson is going to be a big time deal. Obviously, we're going to talk more about Night 2 very soon. Obviously, we can talk more about it in more detail. But I think they gave him a big WrestleMania moment, which I think really helped. And one thing we suggested on the prediction show, actually, that's something they could do. And I think they did the right move in doing it, going with the Alpha Academy.
You called it. Give this guy a crystal ball. Well done, mate. Nice prediction. Well done.
Hey, to be fair, the crystal ball will be going your way as well later on as we talk about Lashley and Omos. That certainly was one predicted from Jonesy from the Rumble. But one thing that we could possibly predict, but one thing for sure, was that one of the matches of the weekend has to be the Raw Women's Championship, Bianca Belair against Becky Lynch. Fantastic job from these two ladies. Absolutely brilliant from start to finish. Both of them. What were your thoughts on the entrances?
Yeah, incredible. Like I like the way that sort of Bianca tried to one up Becky. Really kind of enjoyed it. This really felt like this was a huge match for me. This felt like this could be a main event match, and I like the entrances, mate. They're pretty cool. So definitely were pretty cool. But I thought this match, to be fair, was really, really good. I just thought it was a really, really good match in essence. I think it had a lot of build, and the fact they got more than the however many seconds they got at SummerSlam, I really enjoyed it. This was a great women's match for me. The best women's match of the weekend by far.
I have to agree with you 100% on that. I mean, the thing is, like you said, the first 26 seconds there, they sort of, trying to get the finishers in, and, Becky gets the finisher in, can't get the job. You see that desperation, the character work really quickly from Becky Lynch, the idea of like, I can't put her away. And it was more just a case of, rather than like, patience will get there eventually, it was a rush for Becky Lynch the whole match. And that's what led to big spot, desperation, and sort of almost like, every time that, Bianca just wouldn't give up.
Yeah, definitely. I think this was really booked to perfection. Like Becky's such a good heel. I love her work as a heel. Like really, really works. But the right person won, and this is a great storyline arc they've done with WWE, building Bianca Belair back up. And yeah, well done WWE. You made the right decision with the right winner, in my opinion. I think Bianca Belair, they're building for the future, which is really good to see here. I think this was a really, really good move.
Absolutely. And of course, just to give a bit more detail, just for the finish of the match, obviously the hair was playing its part in it as well. Becky to get the advantage. She did as well the manhandle slam as well on the steel steps. Of course, Bianca got back in the ring at the count of 9. Becky's trying to get the pinfall once again. Didn't seem to work. Went for the manhandle slam one more time, but Bianca managed to put her feet on the ropes, do a backflip, and of course, they managed to land the KOD to become the Raw Women's Champion. Like I say, building for the future. But the question is, Jonesy, the hair still plays its part in this match. Is there one final chapter?
Yeah, quite possibly. The final chapter, you may get that at SummerSlam, maybe. I don't know if we'll do hair versus hair. I think the thing is with it is Becky probably, from a marketing point of view, I don't think they wanted to lose her hair. Bianca's ponytail is a marketing thing, so you're probably going to get hair versus title potentially. I think maybe somewhere down the line, but yeah, they've got to do another match. This I'd like to see this again, basically, maybe with some different stipulations. Remember, we had that feud with Bayley and Sasha Banks previously, where we had month after month of different matches. Let's do that with these two, because these two are the two best women's wrestlers at the moment. I think arguably.
I would say so indeed there. And I'll be interested to see if they want to do it one more time. But obviously, they give the idea of going to something different if they want to. Bateman 901 says, do we feel WWE see Bianca Belair as one out of the 4 horsewomen? Now, probably not as such, but do you reckon that she could be the one that goes above these eventually when you want to have that? She's the top star, the one they're going to push.
She's young enough to do it, and I think she's good enough to do it. So, yeah, why not? It depends on how often they're going to have these belts being traded. If she's dropping the belt quite quickly, she's pretty formidable, though. That's the thing. I don't really know who's going to beat her unless you're going to bring in a vet like a Bayley or somebody like that. There's nobody ready at the moment that can beat her. I don't think other than Becky, maybe, again, if you want to trade belts.
Absolutely. Unless you want to try and build another star in Rhea Ripley as well. That could always be an alternative.
Yeah, you could, definitely.
Absolutely. Just one last little touch there as well, because Becky had the sort of Marvel entrance and stuff, and obviously she had a new look, and it kind of was Marvel-esque. Obviously, there was rumours a couple of years ago, the idea that Becky would be wanted for a Marvel movie at some point. Do you think that could happen in the near future? Do you think that's a tease with the change of look and stuff like that? She could be going to an acting role in the near future?
Yeah, I could see that, Steve. I think that's a good analysis. I think the thing with it is she has got that marketable look. She's great on the mic. She's very charismatic, and you could see Hollywood wanting her. She's quite unique, isn't she?
She really, really is. She's one of a kind, Becky, and I don't reckon she could get over in the mainstream world as well. Muscular says Bianca is one lost NXT talents that never got the big one, but was able to main event on Raw and SmackDown. Do you know what? She didn't have the NXT Women's Championship, and WWE have made a top star out of her. Sometimes it goes to show you don't need the NXT title to get over big time.
It just shows what you can do when you push somebody the correct way and have them beat the right people.
Absolutely, indeed. There. And speaking of them against the right people. Obviously, Seth Rollins gets his big WrestleMania match, not knowing who it's going to be. It's the worst kept secret, but WWE made us wait for a little bit, but they sort of built the anticipation. They brought in the AEW nightmare. Talk about building it correctly. Cody this time has the potential to become a megastar, doesn't he?
Yeah, of course he does. I think the thing is, this was a fantastic addition. I think the way they brought him in, the presentation, as we said in the predictions, he came in with Kingdom. This is AEW's Cody Rhodes we're seeing. It's not the Stardust. It's not the somebody that's not over. This is somebody that's come in. He's got a fantastic ability. And I think the thing with it is, it was a great moment for me. I think I really kind of, even if I knew it was going to happen for a month now, it's going to happen. It was a great kind of moment to see that pay out. I think the only thing I kind of missed from it was Vince McMahon. Like, Vince McMahon's meant to have picked Seth Rollins' opponent, and there's no explanation of that, of what links Cody Rhodes to, and why Vince McMahon, he's obviously meant to be a heel. Why is he getting Cody in? Do you know what I mean? That didn't really kind of work for me. That wasn't explained, but I won't take that away from the match. The match itself was the match of the weekend. I think it was, this was WrestleMania worthy. I would only could have imagined what they would have done if they'd have had decent time to build this feud over a few months.
Do you reckon they might continue the feud now? Because obviously Seth was protected in defeat, but maybe he might want a bit of revenge after this.
Yeah, they could do. I'd be a fan of that. Why not? I think you should do that. Like, the thing is, you don't want Cody Rhodes to be challenging for the world title now. Like, it's too early. That you could do and get him ready for SummerSlam. And I don't see Seth doing anything else. So yeah, let's do a rematch. I'm not a fan of rematches, but this will be a great match to see again. I think you could trade wins between these two. I don't think either one would lose anything, like losing a match to each other.
No, absolutely not. I totally agree. And do you think as well? Obviously, this was more of a, in my opinion, it was more of a slower pace match. But obviously, like you say, it kind of delivered. I thought it was a bit of an AEW style here. They brought Cody in to really be how Cody was outside of WWE. Obviously, the finish, the crossroads, wasn't necessarily protected so much. He had to hit 4 of them in the end. But he obviously did a tribute to his father as well with the flip, flop, and fly. Do you think that was a really nice touch to give Cody that WrestleMania moment and that sort of you're coming back in and you're not going to be Stardust, you're not going to be the lower card, you're going to be a big deal. Do you reckon this was done booked to perfection?
Yeah, I think it was put to perfection, 100%, Steve. I think the thing with it is, as we said on the prediction show, WWE had this one chance with an AEW wrestling not to screw it up, because if they book Cody Rhodes bad, anybody else from AEW, whether that be MJF or somebody else, when their contracts up, they're not going to want to go there, are they? So, no, I think it was a nice touch. And this, for me, felt like a main event match. I have all the matches on the pay-per-view. This match, for me, I'd have been happy to see it in like the main event. I think this is just a huge match. It's a dream match again, another dream match. And yeah, wow. I felt the show after this had a real hard time to try and match that level of like skill and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. These two did knock it out of the park. You're completely right with that. And Martin says here, he's disappointed Shane McMahon didn't get his WrestleMania match against Seth. He is the best in the world after all. Could you imagine if Here Comes the Money had it actually happened?
I thought we would. I really thought we'd get a gauntlet or something like that. I was surprised we got Cody straight away, but credit to WWE, they got him out there, and it was the right move. I think if anybody else would have come out other than Cody, I think the fans would have been a bit disappointed, to be fair, in the end.
Absolutely, indeed. There. We then got a recap over the Hall of Fame ceremony as well, and our attendance was over 77,000 on night 1. Of course, that would be outdone on night 2. We'll do that now, so we've got to mention it later on. Of course, it was 78,400 and something on night 2. So more fans were there for the second evening, but not a full capacity, but still, I think a very.
Yeah, I think it's tough with trying to sell out the building. They did their best with bringing legends back and stuff like that, but let's be fair, you're going to have to get the same fans there over 2 nights. And without matches, I don't know if having matches built up, more than one match built up, maybe might have helped. But yeah, no, I think it was great to see it. The crowd that was there were live and they were excited, weren't they? Which is always good to see. They really had energy all night.
They really, really were. And a question from Martin quickly. It says, it feels like WWE gave a different contract to Cody. He's able to talk about AEW and other companies. Do you guys like this? I certainly do. I like the hint of, I love the filler realism. I like the fact that we're not being sort of fooled with a wall over our eyes that this is legitimate. And we got a real feel. That's what connects me to wrestling companies and storylines. So do you have that same feeling?
Yeah, I like it. I like it. The thing is with it is there's more to wrestling than just WWE, and I think this is a great touch to do that. And yeah, I just think it's great. Like, it's great to see them sort of do this and break that fourth wall, which is nice to see. I'd like to see them do that more often, really.
It's big for AEW because they get the acknowledgement, but it's big for WWE because it shows, look, you can go somewhere else. The grass can be green. You can make your name, but you still want to come back here and prove yourself here.
Yeah, it does. I think the thing is with it is it just shows like this potential bidding war for the first time since WCW. You've actually got a company there in AEW, which WWE generally sort of have some sort of fear of, the fact that they are going out and getting their wrestlers and making it sort of, you don't know who's going to show up. I'm hoping we'll get back to the point of where we don't know who's going to show up week to week. And I think if we do that, it's going to be fun watching for all of us as fans.
It certainly will be. We get a load going to AEW, but to see him come to WWE, like you say, it balances it out. It's fun. I like it. We then followed things up then with Charlotte Flair against Ronda Rousey for the SmackDown Women's Championship, and both women hitting the big submission moves, but no tap out seemingly. But it seemed that in the end, Ronda Rousey's main issue was the referee, Charles Robinson. He played a big role. It counted 3 after she hit the Piper's Pit on Charlotte, but of course Charlotte's foot was on the bottom rope. The ref then very shortly afterwards was taken out of the match. Is tapping. The ref is got back up by Ronda Rousey, but she gets a big boot to the face, and well, Ronda Rousey's pinned. Charlotte retains. So for me, this was a surprise for me, but Jonesy, you called this one. Did this go exactly how you saw it because you think there'll be a rematch, or do you just think legitimately Charlotte is the right one to go over?
I just think the way I kind of looked at it, I thought with the placement of the card, that kind of told me that she wouldn't lose. And I think the thing with this is this match was kind of okay. It was okay in parts. The finish was horrific. The fact that Ronda Rousey losing for a big boot, I just felt that was so underwhelming. And not enough was made up of the connection of Charlotte Flair and the referee. Like, obviously the referee was friends with her father, Ric Flair. They didn't play on that at all, which I thought was a mistouch. But for me, I just think this match was okay. It was filler. I think we're going to be going to a submission match at WrestleMania Backlash. So I don't think this is done. That's what I predict early now. The right person won. We're going to see this again next month, I think. Hopefully it'll be better because this was a bit of a mess for me. I think Ronda Rousey didn't seem sort of as good as we've seen her before, really, in my opinion.
No, and do you know what? I think the match was a bit off. It was my least favourite probably of the whole weekend. I think because of the fact I was most disappointed. I thought it would deliver.
Yeah,
But like you say, Ronda, she didn't really seem to sell the loss for too long either. She got up very,
no,
very quickly. And I do feel as well, like you said there, the submission match seems to be the way to go. I thought it should have been at WrestleMania. But like you said there, and we've discussed this previously before, to carry it over another month, to have that first match, then to have the stipulation on the second month, seems to make a lot more sense when you think of it when the story narrative is going to continue.
definitely. I think the thing with these guys, to be fair, were kind of in a corner because ultimately, because that match earlier in the night with the Bianca Belair match was so good in the earlier in the night. I think no matter what they did here, they would have really struggled. I think the placement was wrong. I think if you'd have put this match early on in the night, I'm not saying it would have been instantly better, but it may have been receptive better. I might have thought it was better to a certain degree, but they did what they could. It just felt a bit rushed for me in parts. I think they were just sort of clutching at straws. And then when I saw that finish at the end, I just thought, this is WrestleMania, losing to a big boot. It's just very, very 90s for me. It's very much superstars, WWF superstars would see something like Hulk Hogan with a big boot or something like that. It was just very, very underwhelming, really, in 2022.
Yeah, I think so as well. It was kind of underwhelming, a bit disappointing, but hopefully, fingers crossed, the next match will be better between them, and hopefully, the story can get a bit more of a good direction going into the
Yeah.
next pay per view. Because I felt the story lacked a little bit as well. But one thing is for sure, we have to talk about the main event segment. Of course, it was the KO show, Kevin Owens with Stone Cold Steve Austin. Of course, we get some bashing of Texas. Of course, we get some bashing of the rattlesnake. But we got the glass shatter. The fans went wild. Was it nice to hear the glass shatter one more time?
Yeah, it's great for nostalgia. You sort of got to love it, really. I think the thing with it is, I always like the past, and the fact you're getting Kevin Owens there. It was really, really weird to see this in the main event spot. If you would have said to me last year at Mania, the main event of night one would be Kevin Owens and Stone Cold Steve Austin, I would have thought, what planet are you on, really? It's very unheard of. You're not putting over really a current star besides Kevin Owens. But no, I thought it was interesting. The talk show element was fun. Austin's always good. I just think it did what it needed to do. I think Kevin Owens played his part to a T as well. I think he was so good and like on the mic. He carried a lot of this segment. Like I think Stone Cold's always great, but we got what we wanted. We got the stunners. We got everything. Nostalgia's there, isn't it? Really.
It really, really is. And the thing is, like you say, KO, he is someone that can be on the mic with Steve Austin. It's someone that's on that level, someone that has got a lot to gain and a lot to get over. And you can't take it away from KO because, like you say, it was a ruse, the whole thing, just to get Austin there. I don't really mean all of this, what I'm saying. I want you in a match, a no holds barred match. And Austin's sitting there going, well, my career started in Dallas, Texas. Wouldn't it be nice for it to finish in Dallas, Texas? And you know what? Accepted the match, and you know the bell rung. It was really just wow. We're getting to actually see Steve Austin in the match, and I said before on the build to this, I'd be like a 5 minute Steve Austin. You know what he's like. He'll do what he do. He'll do it smart, but he did a proper match. I mean, it started off a little bit slow, but once it got going, it got going. These guys went into the crowd. There was suplex bumps. There was going around the ringside. In Austin's wheels, Kevin Owens was trapped in that, riding up the rampway. That was a really cool looking spot. They were fighting in the rampway. Of course, KO manages to hit his stunner on Steve Austin. Austin manages to kick out, but Austin eventually managed to hit his stunner after KO misses with a steel chair shot, ends up hitting himself in the face. And of course, Steve Austin picking up the 1, 2, 3. And for me, KO gets over in defeat. I don't think KO needed the win here. It was the feel-good factor. The hometown hero gets it back for Texas. And then, of course, we had 10 minutes of Steve Austin celebrating his brand new lager that's available, stunning everyone out of sight, whether it was KO once again, whether it was Byron Saxton, who didn't learn from 2020. At least there's something to get kicked in the dick. But yeah, for me, all in all, this was a very fun way to end night one.
It's nice nostalgia. It's a nice way to end it. You're not really sort of building anything up for the next night, but I kind of enjoyed it. I thought it was great to see Stone Cold back. It was weird to see him resting though for a full match. I was surprised how long it went, and they did the best they could with it. But what else could they done? Like as you said, the fans were well up for it, and if this would have been on earlier in the night, then the fans probably wouldn't have. No one else would have probably got a look in. So it was an interesting main event. It's been a bit sort of sizzling me. I just hope next year, night one, we've actually got current wrestlers, like 2 current wrestlers in that main event spot for me. I think going back to the past is great for nostalgia, but you can't keep going back to the past. We need to be building the next Stone Cold Steve Austin and stuff like that. You know what I mean? That's the thing. I feel a little bit. I'm grateful for the moment, stuff like that, but it was a strange way to end WrestleMania for me, night one.
Absolutely. Do you think though that KO will gain from this now, that we won't
Yeah,
just see KO back into the background?
He should do. I would hope so. Like he got a little bit of offense in. The thing is, he has a main event now, doesn't he? At WrestleMania. I guess that's one thing to do, which hopefully did gain something out of it.
Hopefully. Well, I mean, you couldn't take away from after, 2017. So I'm so
No.
pleased he got that. And obviously signed a new contract as well. Shout out to Supersonic X as well, and House saying hello. And of course, Martin Greer here saying that looks like only people Stone Cold didn't stun was the referees. In fact, one of them drunk beer Stone Cold style. Shout out to that ref. That was an awesome little moment, wasn't it?
That was awesome. That was cool.
It's at the half an hour point here. So night one, what were your overall thoughts and your score rating out of 10?
I think it did what it needed to do. I enjoyed sort of a couple of matches. The best matches of the weekend came on night one. So for me, out of 10, I'm going to go 8 out of 10. It over-delivered the matches that it needed to. And it was just okay. It was sort of, there isn't nothing I'd need to go back and see again. But yeah, I'd say 8 out of 10. The right people went over generally, which was always nice to see.
Absolutely. No, I think 8 out of 10 is very good. I had a lot of fun watching it. We didn't really go through a lot of star ratings for a lot of the matches, but you said that your favorite was Cody and Seth. What would be your star rating for that match?
Are we going out of 5 stars?
Yeah, the 5-star, yeah.
Yeah, I'd say 4.5. Like, I think it was just incredible. Like that standard of match. It felt like an AEW, as you said, an AEW style match. And it was just definitely that's what WrestleMania is about. Like, if anything, I think that's the level I would expect. This that took me back to my kind of youth, going back to WrestleMania 17, where you've got that level of matches where every match is kind of top draw. But they smashed it out of the park. I've got to be honest with you. For a match that was unadvertised with little or no build, it was impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. Indeed.
Shows how good Seth is. It shows how good Seth was incredible, to be fair.
Absolutely. I say 4.25 for that match. My 4.5 will go to Bianca versus Becky. That was my personal favorite match on that night. I just love the story, everything that went into it. I just asked for a star rating as well for Austin and Owens, because obviously first time Austin in the ring there. I think this one has to get a solid 3.25. I think the crowd and the energy probably built this up a little bit, but certainly the fun factor was in with it.
If I'm going for the crowd pop, 5 out of 5. If I'm going for the in-ring action, 2 out of 5. If I'm going with longevity, 1 out of 5 for me. I think you're paying your money. Austin's there to sell tickets. The fans that went there all had a great time, which is great to see. I love nostalgia, but please, if you can, WWE, I want to see the new talent go over, really, for me, eventually.
Absolutely. It's definitely, they're crying for it. They've got some star talent there. We're going to talk about 1 or 2 of them as we go into night 2. But Supersonic says 9 out of 10 for Supersonic. Thank you for your score sharing as well. One more question before we go on to night 2. Looking at it in the long run, does WrestleMania Backlash pay-per-view drag WrestleMania card down and make it irrelevant? Interesting question there from Martin.
Yeah, I think kind of it's another pay-per-view. You're putting the WrestleMania name on there. Last year's WrestleMania Backlash was incredible.
It was.
It's maybe an excuse just to have rematches, but it's hard, very hard. Like, I think the thing with it is there should only be one WrestleMania. Yeah, I'm not really a fan of WrestleMania Backlash as a name, to be fair. Backlash is better on its own.
Yeah, I prefer Backlash. And I understand the marketing value from WWE because we've now got WrestleMania attached to everything. Raw after WrestleMania, WrestleMania Raw, WrestleMania SmackDown. I get it, but yeah, I'm with you on that one as well. Martin also says for WrestleMania to deliver like the way it did, the majority of non-relevant WWE matches is crazy. Yeah, I mean there was a lot, and they did deliver as well. I'm looking forward to talking about them as we go into night 2. But night 2, of course, started with another Mark Wahlberg intro package. Of course, America the Beautiful again. I actually preferred night 2. It's not a dig on night 1, but I really enjoyed night 2 in particular. And as well, we had Triple H start off the night, thanking the fans as the way he can as well, hugging his children, of course, doing the spit with the water like he usually does, and of course the main thing as well, leaving his boots in the ring, signaling retirement there. For me, it was a very touching moment, a very special way to start off WrestleMania.
100%. It was a strong way to start WrestleMania. I'm glad they gave him that spot. I'm glad he was out there to get the first pop of the night, and yeah, I really kind of enjoyed it. And I'm glad he was there with his family. Yeah, it's a really sad goodbye, to be fair. Like, I think the guys put so much into wrestling. Some of my most favorite matches were with Triple H, and I'm glad he got that moment. Like, he deserves that moment for the amount of work he's put in. And let's not forget the fantastic work he did in NXT previously as well, where a lot of these future stars that are on the roster now are thanks to him, really. Not him on his own, but a lot of his work.
Yeah, there is a lot of his work, and honestly did an incredible job. And Triple H is going to be missed from an in-ring perspective. Like you say, my favorite match of all time involves Triple H against The Undertaker, end of an era, WrestleMania 28. Triple H has given us some golden memories over the years, carried the company on his back at points as well. So, and like you say, building for the future with the stars from NXT, from the black and gold, and will continue to do so with the 2.0. Now he's back in his role and he's back in work. So, thanks for the memories, Triple H. It's been absolutely incredible. And of course, what a great match to start off with as well. Speaking of one of the people that's probably learned a lot through Triple H over the years was Randy Orton. retaining the tag team titles against the Street Profits as well as Alpha Academy. Of course, Gable Stevenson, by the way, was in the crowd. Triple H gave a reference to him as well. So another shout out for Gable. We'll talk about him a little bit more in a minute. What a crazy amount of spots to kick off this first match, by the way. Montez Ford doing that dive over the top rope there to all the superstars on the floor. Chad Gable doing the moonsault. We had a tribute to the Steiner brothers from Alpha Academy with their finishing move. The blockbuster finishing move from the Street Profits as well. I thought that was definitely going to get the pinfall at that moment. Popped out my seat for that one. But of course, some of the biggest pops has to come as well. Randy Orton vulnerable in the ring. Montez Ford looks like he's going to go for that frog splash on the top rope, and Riddle does a springboard RKO. Incredible, absolutely incredible. And just when you think you couldn't get better, Chad Gable's flying off the top rope, lands into an RKO himself, and the champions do retain. What a great opening tag team match.
Incredible. Well, this was so good. It blew my expectation away. We did ton of predictions it would be a good match, but this was superb. The blockbuster looked devastating. All three tag teams looked so credible. I really kind of enjoyed it. And this was just fantastic. What more do you want from tag team wrestling? I don't often say this. In AEW, you obviously get the Young Bucks, that level of match. This was there for me for WWE, which was so nice to see. I really kind of enjoyed it. I think the right people went over. All three teams, you'd want to see this again. And what I loved about this, it was so open who could win. It's so nice to have that mystery about it.
This was the hardest match for me to predict the whole weekend. I remember on the prediction show saying I went backwards and forwards. I did that until the show. I still didn't change. I was changing my mind all the time. But of course, after the match, one thing was for sure, it looked like people were getting back on the same page. The Street Profits looking to share some drinks. They must have got some inspiration from Steve Austin, wanting to do that with RK Bro. And of course, they called Gable Stevenson in the ring to share some drink as well. But just as they were about to drink it, Chad Gable knocking it out of his hand. And of course, there was a back and forth exchange with Chad Gable and Gable Stevenson on the mic. Of course, Chad Gable was saying, "You've got a lot to learn, and if you're around me, you need to shush." And of course, we see Gable Stevenson not too impressed with that, and a belly-to-belly overthrow. And this was definitely a showcase match with the talent in ring, but obviously this was a big moment to get Gable Stevenson over. They've done a lot to promote him this WrestleMania weekend. It feels like it's up to him now to get over. And then he eventually debuts on Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, I agree. I like the placement. I think it's great to see him out there. For a second, I really thought we were going to get that whole heel turn with the Street Profits and Gable turning on Riddle. I really thought we were going to kind of get that. But I'd expect this to go to RK Bro versus the Street Profits next, and we might get that heel turn for the Street Profits. But great to see Gable out there, and I like the building with Gable. Chad Gable's so good, and see Chad Gable in a WrestleMania match was refreshing. Really, this guy should be up there. He should be like a main eventer for me, like already.
Absolutely. I would like to see these three teams again. TLC, WrestleMania Backlash. That's what I want to see. Sounds
incredible, doesn't it? It's a bit like the Hardys, Dudley Boys, Edge and Christian. It's got that feel of three great teams, and credit to WWE. They've really built these teams up. So I think I'd like to see it again. And I went into this match thinking, because we didn't get RK Bro, like a singles match, Randy Orton versus Riddle, that it would be disappointing. But no, this was a fantastic opener. This is a way to start WrestleMania Night 2, 100%.
Certainly was indeed. Scott Retro Wrestling in House, by the way, shout out to of his latest videos of building a WrestleMania card together. Wrestling YouTubers all giving one match each. So go and check out if you haven't already. But he says night 1 was the better wrestling show. Night 2 was the most entertaining. We're going to give our verdict on that very shortly. But good to hear your take on it, Scott. Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed the video so far. As well as that, then we go to a match that Jonesy, I know you had a lot of investment because you predicted this since the Rumble. Lashley versus Omos. This was kind of a bit of a slower pace match. I was disappointed because you predicted that MVP would be involved. We didn't sadly get to see him, but I was quite happy with the finish because I was so sure Omos was picking up the W here. But Omos seemed to be powerful, getting the power game for the first 5 minutes. But then Lashley manages to get a suplex, manages to hit a spear, manages to get the 1, 2, 3. Lashley manages to defeat Omos, and it looks like Lashley is not going to be finished with the main event push, and perhaps Omos will go in a different direction.
Yeah, for me, horrible match. I knew it would be bad, but this was absolutely really bad. Like, it was a toilet break match, and I think the thing with it is Omos, they've had him for 5 years. How is this guy not at a decent level? This is a guy that he's got a great look, don't get me wrong, but horrible. Obviously, Omos previously faced AJ Styles and had a horrible match, but it's not on Bobby, to be fair. The right person went over. It was nice to see them have some sense to get Bobby Lashley to get the win. For me, the right person won. Omos's win streak's done, so hopefully he will be reduced to not doing too much on TV. I don't want anyone to lose their job, obviously, but I just think it was just disappointing for a WrestleMania match. It just felt like Undertaker versus Giant Gonzalez, but even worse. Like, I just felt like I shouldn't have been seeing that. On a positive though, Bobby getting the win, I think he will go on to face Roman Reigns next, which I think long awaited, and I think that'll be a great match when it happens.
Oh, you took the words out of my mouth. I think Lashley Reigns could be a future destination. Almost, yeah. I think he's going to the 24/7 title division. Probably be dancing by the end of 2022. But I do you reckon, honestly though, let's be serious for a minute. We want Almost to do well in WWE.
Yeah,
we think
do.
in ring he's not ready for this particular moment. Do you think he should go back being a bodyguard for somebody?
I guess you got to. The thing is, he's not very good on the mic. Like when he was a tag team with AJ Styles, at least he carried him. I just remember last year's WrestleMania, the AJ Styles almost tag team winning the belts and being really excited. He's just not in the spot, and it's not his fault. Really, he's been put out there, not ready, and they're hoping he's going to be Andre the Giant. But for me, he's Giant Silver. I'm sorry to say that he's going to be the one that is the comedy act to a certain point. He'll go back to being a super ninja or something like that. To be fair, I just feel sorry for the guy because he's doing all he can, and it's not fair on him or Bobby. Like. One criticism of this match as well, I've got to say, is Bobby didn't even sell the injuries. Bobby's been injured for ages, yet he was like 100% in this match, where it's not very consistent. Yeah. And the fact you didn't have MVP there as well, it's you don't explain stuff. That's the thing with WWE, which I dislike. They should be explaining stuff to where people are, really. I don't know whether that's just me.
No, I agree with a lot of them points there that you make there. And I even thought to begin with, I weren't sure the match, why Lashley wouldn't go back for the people that took him out of that Elimination Chamber match. Maybe that's coming tonight on Raw. Maybe he will be going for Theory. Maybe go for Rollins. We'll have to wait and see if that will come about. We've got a comment from Martin saying, I was thinking about why Lashley didn't join Lesnar versus Reigns. He didn't get pinned for the WWE title. Would have been a better match. Do you reckon that would have been a fun triple threat match to do?
Yeah, that'd been incredible. Like, I think if Lashley had been fully fit, I'd actually make a prediction. I think if Lashley wouldn't have got injured and didn't have to drop the belt, he would have obviously had the world title match. And Lashley versus Seth probably would have happened at this pay-per-view potentially, which would have been fun. But yeah, I would much rather see that triple threat match any day.
Absolutely. And one quick answer before we move on. Do we see Almost doing the job to Veer by the end of the year? That rhymes.
Yeah, quite possibly. Veer Mahan's finally coming tonight, so Veer's going to be a megastar probably. But no, yeah, I'd be interested to see if they just drop Almost like a bad habit now, maybe. They tend to sometimes do that.
They can do that. And I think that Veer will be over like Rover tonight. He'll be the most over in his entire career. He'll probably get the biggest pop of the night. Look out for it. I think it's going to be fun from the Raw crowd with this. Like, they're passionate. And one thing I've got to say quickly, I was feeling like I'm sitting on a little hill on my own, but I feel like the praise that this match has got at the end of it, it blew my expectation. I thought it would be fun, but Johnny Knoxville versus Sami Zayn has to go down as one of the best comedy hardcore matches in WWE history. I got WrestleMania 17 vibes with Big Show, Kane, Raven vibes with this. These two were hilarious from the start here. I mean, the haluva kick to kick things off from Sami Zayn. Is this going to be short, one and done? Are we going to get over this very quickly? But no, I mean, John Knoxville finds a way to stay in the match. But it didn't take long before there was help from the cast of Jackass. Of course, Wee Man was a particular highlight for me as well. The fact that he actually scoop slammed Sami Zayn before taking a haluva kick himself. The fact he got the apparatus in the ring as well, with the boot that's meant to, kick Sami Zayn in the area as well, was hilarious. We saw more of the cast getting involved as well. I mean, let's go to some of the fun details. I mean, literally the bowling ball, the 7-10 split for Sami Zayn in the corner was hilarious. Sami Zayn being thrown off the top rope through a table with mouse traps on it, and then the whole Jackass cast putting a mouse trap on Sami Zayn so Johnny Knoxville can get the win. Comedy gold, WrestleMania moment. Sami Zayn has got direction, purpose, and feels there's a conspiracy against him. He's perfect going into WrestleMania Backlash. He's got a storyline waiting for him where Johnny Knoxville, the celebrity, gets the mainstream attention.
Yeah, this is incredible. This match was incredible. As we said, the predictions, I did say it would be Raven, Kane, and Big Show. I did kind of put that out there. This match would be like that, but I didn't actually expect it to be like this. But WWE over-delivered. It was such a good match. You even had the debut of Mark Henry and Mae Young's child, the hand there. The fully grown hand was there. It debuted there as well, but no, that's another subject. But no, I thought it was a fantastic match. I really loved it. I loved the fact that all the apparatus, it wasn't just a bog standard hardcore match. You had stuff specifically filled for sort of Jackass, and Sami Zayn's superb. Like, I think this guy is just so good. I think he carried the match, a lot of it, but I enjoyed it, and I shouldn't have enjoyed it. This is a match I went into not really looking forward to it, and WWE, this was just such a refreshing change to see. I really kind of enjoyed it, and by the end of it, I was laughing. I just thought it was so funny. Like, I just felt like this got better and better, and the crowd loved it as well, which was great to see.
Absolutely. Thoroughly sports entertained, I will say on that one. And we got Martin saying that McAfee's commentary on this match was hilarious. It certainly was. Saying as well, with the guy that was taking those off, it's like, it's not the first time I've seen this button. I shouldn't be saying that. It's just like, some funny stuff going all around. I think
the giant mousetrap was so creative. Even the best thing of all was with the giant mousetrap. This is something that Johnny Knoxville's created, yet he doesn't know how it works and stuff like that. I just thought it was just really, really fun. And I think they did the best they can with everything around, and the interruptions by the Jackass crew And as you said, the moment where Wee Man slammed Sami Zayn, that spot was incredible. I felt Andre and Hogan again. Like I got them sort of vibes watching it a little bit. But yeah, amazing WWE. This was so good. This is why you bring a celebrity in. When you brought in Johnny Knoxville, I was originally thinking, what are you doing putting him on WrestleMania? But I don't know anything. This was fantastic.
Well, look, let's be real here. The Royal Rumble, WWE got it wrong, but WrestleMania they got it right.
100%. This was so good. Like I know it's meant to be a serious event. You're meant to build up all your feuds and stuff, but you can't put Sami Zayn in a serious match now, I don't think. I mean, this guy's just a comedy, and the build was great, a long-term build, and yeah, it was fun. The fact that Sami Zayn lost, right person went over as well, which was great to see, but I don't know what... I'd like to see this match again, to be fair. Can we do it again sometime? Like, this is a regular match, to be fair. I'd like to see it every week, if I was being honest.
Absolutely. Well, in worst case scenario, we've got the network and Peacock for always to go back and rewatch this over again. But Sami Zayn, for me, I think he's got over in defeat as well here. His facials were something electric in this match. I really, really thoroughly enjoyed this. One of the highlights of the WrestleMania card. The WrestleMania women's tag team title match was next then with the 4 women's teams. All of them sadly coming out like with their own entrances. Even the champions was interesting with the music. So, I mean, does that give you a feeling that they don't really feel like genuine teams from the off?
This was just a match put together to get everybody out on the card. Yeah, for me, it's just a mismatch. Yeah, I think you're spot on, Steve, at that point.
It was just a bit of a shame. There were some good moments in the match, though. I mean,
the match
the
was okay. The match was all right.
Yeah, the 2 Towers of Doom was there. Some big spots. I mean, Zelina Vega's moonsault as well from to the outside was pretty good. But it felt like there was a moment where Carmella was going to get the victory. And if you saw Corey Graves' facial expression when there was the kick out done. But Naomi and Sasha Banks took over from this point. And of course, very creative finish where sort of Naomi had her held up, and we see Sasha do like a rolling code breaker to get the pinfall victory. And Team Bad, well, they're the team champs. What are your thoughts of Sasha and Naomi as women's tag team champions? And Sasha Banks getting her first victory in a WrestleMania. It looked like it was quite emotional to her.
It's great to get that win WrestleMania. Yeah, we're okay as tag team champions. It's okay for a temporary thing. I really want Sasha back as a singles wrestler. This is almost like putting Triple H in his prime in the tag team division for me. I think that we're wasting here really with her. I don't know what she's doing, and I think the thing with it is it was great to have that belt. She's obviously going to bring that division on a lift. The question they have is how they're going to get the belt off her. That's the thing, and still keep her credible. That's the trouble you may find, but it was a great moment. I would have just much rather saw Rhea and Liv win for me personally. I think that I'd been a bit more happy with that. But it was great to see new tag team champions. More importantly, I'm happy the belts are off the original champions.
Absolutely. And I hope they do manage to start and establish this division going forward. You mentioned the idea of Rhea and Liv. Why not have them go off in a program? That'd be quite fun to watch. We get to see more of Sasha versus Rhea. Liv gets more experience in there as well, taking on Sasha Banks. Naomi gets in there with Rhea. We've got some fresh matchups for those if we can do that.
I think it's really, really scary how the depth of the women's division WWE at the moment. Obviously, we haven't even got Bayley, Oscar back yet, and then you've also got people such as Io Shirai that could come up at any moment. Raquel Gonzalez can come up at any moment. It's so depth. There's so much depth, isn't there, in that women's division?
I would have said if Mandy Rose had lost the NXT Women's Championship, I would have said Toxic Attraction could have been a shout to be called up for that tag team division, but I think it's going to be held off for just the moment.
I think that's a good shout. Right.
Well, we'll go to the comments in the meantime. Marty Gurria says, can't wait for Sami to give his conspiracies and how his shoulders went on the mat and got pinned at the top of the big mousetrap. I can't wait either. I think that SmackDown's going to be great fun just to see that alone, personally, Martin. Great shout. Supersonic says, fans of Oscar and Kyrie still believe that they're the longest reigning women's tag team champions until Sasha and Naomi break that record. And there could be a chance that Sasha and Naomi could do it, but there's also a chance that perhaps another team could do it as well. We'll have to wait and see how it's going to be booked going forward. I mean, are the right challengers, or what were your thoughts of the Taylor and Shayna? We're not even mentioning them. They seem to have a bit of good chemistry going on in this match for a short time.
I think they're okay. It's great to see Shayna get some sort of spot. Like last year, to be fair, she didn't really get much of a look in with Nia Jax, but for me, they're all okay. They're all kind of credible. We just need 3 or 4 tag teams, like sort of the tag teams, and a few of the singles wrestlers that are capable to be the main eventers or that type of level need to get out that division really for me. But yeah, I just think they're okay really as a team.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, let's move on in the meantime. But let's talk about Edge versus AJ Styles. A very different match to the rest of the matches on the card. It was more like a chess match. We saw a lot of big spots and a lot of things going on in other matches. This was a lot slower pace. This was a lot more clinical with these two in ring. Gotta say, AJ very unfortunate on his entrance, bashing his face against the WrestleMania sign, of course, cutting himself on the side of the face. But Edge's Brood style entrance, I thought was pretty impressive.
Yeah, fantastic. Very nostalgic again. I think he looked like a star, didn't he? Like literally, that's a WrestleMania entrance. It's very, very, it's very, very moving. If that makes sense.
It really, really is. It stands out, and it makes you just you remember that spot, and you remember the moment. And it really feels like we define this Edge character on this. Like we say, this slow chess match. I think this really played more into Edge's new character. I thought that was really well done for how this match was put together. The longest match of the weekend, by the way, 25 minutes. These two were given in the ring together, so that goes to show how much faith WWE. It looked like AJ Styles was going to pick up the victory at the very end with the phenomenal forearm, but looking like he was watching a monitor backstage. Damian Priest was out just standing at ringside, and AJ Styles was put off for just long enough. He went for the phenomenal forearm. He was caught into a spear. We got the 1, 2, 3. And what was even more interesting, not just the fact that Edge won the match, but the fact that Edge and Damian Priest had a look at one another. They were both in on one knee. They smiled, they got up, and they celebrated together and walked off together. Very old school. Very nostalgic. This is something, Jonesy, you're a big fan of. I'd like to get your thoughts on it.
I think it's creative. I think the thing with it, this is going back to, I don't know if you remember this, Steve, back on the 17th of January this year, Damian Priest and Edge had that interaction. You're going back as far as that for this team to be built. And when you look at it, stuff like that, I think it's just great. I think you're building a storyline. Damian Priest is going to get such a lift from Edge, and they don't do this enough in WWE. This is really, really good television. I know it's a cheap way to end the match at WrestleMania, but I'm excited. This could be a brood. This could be something different. You know, I mean, this could go somewhere. You could have a third man. This could be a place to maybe bring back Elias as the third man, for example. It's just great. It was really something refreshing, and I just think Damian Priest as a heel is going to, as like sort of a heel with Edge. It's just going to be fun to see. I can't wait to see what they do. I'm excited for Raw.
I'm really excited because for me, the explanation is very interesting of what it would be. Like you say, a brood style stable. There's been rumors Edge could get a stable, and I think Damian Priest just fits it so well. He's had previous history in other companies working with these sort of styles of characters. In Ring of Honor, for example, was Punishment Martinez with Kevin Sullivan's sort of like, sort of dark sort of gimmick they had going on. Now they've got this brood gimmick here with Damian Priest. I just think Priest is going to get a kick. He's not been doing this Jekyll and Hyde character anymore. We've got the heel Priest now aligned himself here. And I'm interested to see where it's going to go forward. Like you say, Priest has got everything to gain under the guidance of Edge. And we see Priest a while ago getting advice from Edge, I believe, for the Royal Rumble. So it looks
that's
like
the one I was telling you about. That's the one I said earlier. That date, that promo.
Exactly. So there is that continuity. Has WWE had this in the works for a while?
Yes, I would hope so. Like, I think it's really, really good, and I think the thing that's made this so much special is the fact it hasn't leaked. Like, this was a genuine surprise for me, which I think was quite nice to see. But I really, really enjoyed it. I think this was creative. And yeah, I think this is just something what I want to see more often, like on WWE, on pay-per-views and more and stuff like that. You need to see stuff like this. And I think this is clever. The finish was clever. Nothing was lost from Styles losing in this manner. And I think this opens up a potential feud from Styles and Damian Priest down the line as well. I think this was really, really good. Interested to see where they go next. And Edge as a heel is always great. And I think, is this a new corporate ministry, would you say, Steve, for 2022, maybe, potentially?
That could be fantastic. Brood is what I would link it to now, but corporate ministry, I'm open door. I'm feeling it. This is a very fun game. And Edge was very Undertaker colors, if you remember, from like back in the mid-90s with his, it felt it was a bit of inspiration in that character as well. One last note I'm going to say to you, Edge and Damian Priest, potentially, if they're starting this group together, maybe we could get a sort of Bullet Club reunion. Maybe AJ Styles and Finn Balor team up to go against them.
Sounds good. Sounds good. It gives Finn Balor something to do. I'd like to see it. I hope they do that. In terms of a team name, I'll put a team name out there already. What I think it'll be, Unholy Alliance is going to be the name, I think, for Edge and Damian Priest, I believe. But no, it'd be good to see. And yeah, WWE, pat on the back. This was WrestleMania weather for me. This felt like a big moment of the year so far.
Absolutely, really, really enjoyed it. And as saying here, Styles versus Priest, Balor versus Edge would be down for all of that, wouldn't you?
Be great.
Would be great indeed. Would be great indeed. And Simpson also saying Oscar needs to stay away from the women's tag team division. Warner as a heel, Kana, that character, we have to wait and see how it will be done. Supersonic, if Kana would be brought back with that sort of style heel character. I think Oscar will be back anytime now. She was reportedly meant to be in Dallas over the weekend. So let's see if she turns up on Raw or SmackDown this upcoming week. But of course, we then talk about the New Day versus the Fight Club. And of course, we had the New Day wearing inspired Big E ring attire as well from when he won the WWE Championship. It's a shame, though, that they didn't really give much more for that, unfortunately, because this match went on for 1 minute and 40 seconds. But let me tell you, it was quite eventful. There was a beatdown going on. And then we saw Trouble in Paradise from Kofi Kingston onto Ridge Holland. Butch was trying to get in everywhere, so Sheamus was trying to pull him away. Then we see Kofi running over, and we see like a bro kick done to Kofi, so he's out of the match. Then we see Xavier Woods obviously trying to fend 3 of them off. Butch on one end of the ring, Ridge Holland down, and all of a sudden a bro kick. Ridge Holland hits the Northern Grip, and that's it. You've got the Fight Club picking up the victory. Great for this stable, but thanks for coming, Big E. That's not really I thought when they had the inspired ring gear that they were going to get the revenge for Big E.
You took the words from my mouth, definitely. I think disappointing. Like I think nothing came of this. Ken Xavier looks like a jobber. Kofi Kingston, former world champion, looks like a joke. Yeah, for me, awful segment. You might as well say to these guys, we don't want you on the pay-per-view. You couldn't do it the night 1. You chucked them out the night 2. Sitting on an hour and 46 minutes wrestling throughout the whole 4-hour pay-per-view. Why couldn't it have gone 15 minutes? You know what I mean? I think this was damaging for all parties involved, unfortunately. I think it was really, really bad. I feel sorry for all of them involved. It's all really, really good.
They are all really, really good. I think the only 2 that come out of anything from this will be Ridge Holland, because he got the pin, obviously. It's the first WrestleMania win for him. And even though Butch was just brief, you knew he was there. Goodness, he looks like a savage, doesn't he? I can't wait to see what they're going to do with him when he actually gets in ring. I'm slightly more intrigued by this character all of a sudden than what I was previously. Grand Jury as an idea there for the team name for Priest and Edge.
I like it.
Seems quite, we like the sound of that one. Could be quite fun there. So let's talk next then about Pat McAfee versus Austin Theory. What a fun match this was. I mean, obviously we've got the big entrance as well. Austin Theory come out there via Vince McMahon to introduce him as a future undisputed champion as well, Universal Champion, whatever they're going to call it going forward. And as well, I mean, Pat McAfee coming out to Seven Nation Army. Do you need to do more of this with these big songs? You've shown how it works in AEW, worked really, really well here. The crowd were going with Seven Nation Army the whole way through that match.
Yeah, they were. It was almost like going back to Fandango's theme. Everyone was getting into it. Everyone was singing to it, if that makes sense. But no, you got the money, WWE, so definitely get these big themes out there. But just pay the money, I think, rather than just in-house music.
Absolutely. It was really, really good. And the match itself was really entertaining as well. I mean, Pat McAfee did some amazing stuff there. Obviously, particularly for me, one that really stood out was he was going to go for the superplex, then he went for the backflip, landed on his feet, and then went straight and jumps back up there for the superplex. That was an awesome looking spot.
It was fantastic. Pat McAfee clearly blows it out of proportions again. Obviously, we knew his match against Adam Cole previously was superb. But no, it just shows how good Pat McAfee is. And he generally gets it. You can see the guy's he was trained by Rick Rogers, and he's generally a wrestling fan. You can see that he gets it, if that makes sense. For me, this was a good match. I kind of enjoyed it, the moments they got. My only small criticism is I couldn't believe Austin Theory did get the win here. Austin Theory is meant to be the one you're pushing. Pat McAfee's a celeb, I get that. But for me, that was the wrong thing, but the match was good. I enjoyed this part of the match 100%.
At the time when watching it, I was exactly the same as I was like, oh, that's a bit silly. Why did Austin Theory lose? This is the guy. For me, he's your next Randy Orton. That's who I see when I look at him. I see mirrors of them. And I think in a year or two, Austin Theory is definitely, you're going to be up there in the main event. There's no question about that. But in the meantime, right now, I thought, that's the wrong move. But then it linked to something different because Pat McAfee was bad-mouthing after getting the roll-up on Austin Theory, bad-mouth Vince McMahon. And the rumor that we've got originally seemed to go full circle, and we got it. Vince McMahon had a match with Pat McAfee, and Vince McMahon won it almost in a squash faction, but Austin Theory got involved as well. Vince McMahon's got the guns, doesn't he? And he knows how to work a crowd still, doesn't he? Yeah,
absolutely a horrendous moment. The worst probably match at WrestleMania, I'd say. It was awful. Like, I know Vince is a legend. The reason why they've done that, this is credit to Billy Batty. I'll give him the credit. They're filming a Vince McMahon biopic at the moment, Vince McMahon versus the World. They wanted some camera angles of Vince in the ring. That's kind of the reason why they've done that. But for me, it was okay to see Vince there, nostalgia and stuff like that. But the way Pat McAfee sold the way the punches, like he'd been hit by missiles, was quite entertaining, to be fair. But and then he pins Pat McAfee. Like I just thought Pat McAfee's got that big win over Austin Theory, and then Vince gets it. It just didn't really work for me. I think this kind of brought the mood down for me. I just think it was wasteful on the show, really. This side.
Well, I mean, it does help build that up and coming 70-year-old Vince McMahon. You know, he's an up and comer in this industry. I think he's going to go far. I think there's a lot in there for him. But of course, just to see them celebrate, of course, Vince does cut to the back just before it's meant to, but still, the music hits one more time. Steve Austin comes out.
Of course, always going to come out, wasn't he?
That was great fun. Seeing Austin Theory get the stunner, the way he sold that was brilliant as well. So we get some WrestleMania from that. Then, of course, with Vince McMahon, the stunner as well. And of course, the drinking off with Pat McAfee to then stun McAfee, and McAfee with the beer on the floor was hilarious when the camera caught that moment. Can I just say very quickly, what were your thoughts of the stunner on Vince McMahon? It has to be one of the worst but
Yeah,
funniest stunners I've
yeah.
seen in my life. I was rolling laughing.
Yeah, horrendous. The thing with it is, it's funny. Don't get me wrong, but Vince McMahon should not be doing moves at his age. And the fact that you got Stone Cold Steve Austin with his 2 knee braces there, he was almost having to sprint across the ring to try and catch Vince because Vince wasn't sort of selling him. But it was a fun moment. You would have got exactly the same spot done with just doing Austin Theory and Vince McMahon doing a beatdown instead of Vince McMahon pinning Pat McAfee. That's kind of where I had
Yeah.
problems. But it was a fun nostalgic moment. We knew we were going to get Austin there, but you're going back to the past again. That's the thing, Steve. We're going back to sort of past again instead of current talent. That's kind of the issue with it. But it was okay, really. I just think nothing was kind of achieved from it. But just keep Vince McMahon away from the rim, please. Vince McMahon is not the same. This ain't the Vince McMahon from '99 that's great on the microphone that can sort of go a bit. You know what I mean? Even if Vince McMahon's in quite good medical shape or fitness shape, I just think he doesn't belong in the ring, unfortunately, anymore.
No,
It was
I can
sad to see
understand
for
that.
me.
I think the thing that I would agree with you massive of, it shouldn't have done a match. They should just done a beatdown. I think that would have made more sense. But I've got to say that I was sports entertained and I
It was
forgot for a
entertaining.
minute.
It was
You know?
entertaining. The fact that I was watching it myself and thinking, they need Austin now. This is the point. They need Austin, and Austin comes out. It is done really well. I just don't like the whole thing of taking one momentum. So you take the momentum from Theory, you give it to McAfee, and then McAfee loses it. It ends up with Vince. What does Vince get from that? Like you want to get the Austin stunner at the end, but Vince McMahon should be gaining anything out of this. He can rile the crowd to get Austin out there, but don't give him a win over your 2 people. You know what I mean? What's the point of it? Really?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I can understand that. I really thought Saxton was going to fall for it again and get another one. I really thought that. And yeah, I was worried about this Supersonic. Good shout there. Could have torn his quads again. I was worried that was coming when he took the slip and slide there towards the end. But Pat McAfee from Martin saying joined WWE might have been the best decision. They could have even made him make Vince look like a star. I mean, to be fair, McAfee did an incredible job on WrestleMania and deserves praise all round for his performance. I don't know why I was still laughing at Vince beat McAfee with a pumpkin. I know, isn't it just ridiculous how we finished that match with that way? It was really silly, but hey, it is what it is. Going to quickly go backwards as well. Butch really wanted to get to a match. Wanted to put Butch in a match. I agree. SmackDown make it happen. And also don't understand why Butch wants to get his hands on the New Day. Like, what did the New Day do to him? What did the New Day do?
Butch is just rabid. He just doesn't care, does he? He's just there to do a job as best as he can. But no, what did he do? Nothing really, unfortunately.
Absolutely. Well, we had 15 minutes left of the show then for your main events. Of course, champion versus champion, the biggest WrestleMania match of all time. Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar. Of course, Roman gets the intro by Paul Heyman to do some mind games. Brock Lesnar does the intro back as well, which I thought was quite entertaining. You got that sports entertainment before even this big time match, which I thought was a nice little touch. Of course, very similar play to how it was done in Crown Jewel, of course, where Paul Heyman's on the floor distracting Brock. Then we got the spear going through the barricade. Then we see, obviously, spearing the idea with the ref bump, Brock Lesnar getting the low blow from Roman Reigns, and of course after that a spear with the championship match, championship belt as well to try and actually get the pinfall attempt. But of course that's the point where Brock kicks out and the match takes a different turn. We see Roman go for another spear, and he ends up going to a Kimura. Now during this Kimura, it looks like Roman Reigns legitimately popped his shoulder or something goes on. You can audibly hear him say to Heyman, something's out, something's wrong. And it feels like they kind of rushed to the finish then because Roman hit a spear and got the 1, 2, 3. Do you think that was a bit of a shame that unfortunately this had to finish this way?
Yeah, it's a shame that obviously if he got injured, I think it was a real shame to do that. I think the finish, no matter what, was going to be that. It was always going to be Roman going over. I think the greatest thing about this whole match was Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman, that mannerism when he goes, "You could do it, my tribal chief," and the camera shot and stuff was majestic. WWE, I'd love to see that more often. It was almost like watching a game of rugby where we can hear the referee. It was that panoramic view, and you're hearing that. But for me, it's a shame he got this injury potentially, but I just think it was an okay main event. I kind of felt that I'd seen it before. It didn't really kind of stand out for me. I didn't really get the hype. There wasn't really enough made of sort of Brock as being a threat to Roman. I didn't really get that feeling at all. But for me, the right person went over. It was always going to be Roman Reigns, to be fair. And I'm kind of at the point, can anybody beat this guy now? It's kind of got to that point where we are, every time it's a Roman Reigns match, Roman's winning. And it's a shame, really, because you had the pay-per-view end. And this was a perfect spot to bring somebody out, in my opinion. This is the spot you could have brought out a Cody or somebody like that. You want to see Roman's next. Roman's on a high. WWE have got all the money in the world, and they've had months and months now. Why couldn't they get The Rock to do a vignette for next year? You know what I mean? It's not asking much if you can't be there.
Do you reckon we're going to get that spot tonight? No, that's the thing to tune into. What's going to happen with the 2 belts? Who's going to face Roman next? And we tune into Raw because Roman now is going to be on both shows. He's got both belts.
Yeah, he's gonna condense it down. He's gonna condense it down to one, surely, isn't he? Temporarily for a while, I believe.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, as we said earlier in the stream, I think your next challenger is Bobby Lashley. That's kind of who I think we would get. I'm not saying he should have come out at the end of WrestleMania, but Roman's on a higher. You need to bring him down as the pay-per-view ends. I think they didn't get that enough. It was almost like I'm better than anybody else. I put it out to you, Steve. If the rumors are true with Roman Reigns and an injury, and he may have to potentially vacate it, would you be a fan of a tournament? If so, who's going to win the belt?
Tournament all day
Place.
long. It's the way to do it, a tournament. I love a tournament. I think that would make a lot of sense. The only thing that could go against the tournament is the idea that perhaps maybe those spoiler police may come out and know the final before we do. That's the only thing I would be against with it. But I hope Roman is good to go. It looked like he popped something back in and he was able to put both arms up towards the end of the show. So fingers crossed he was.
I hope he can. It'd be a real shame for him to be to like lose the belt without him being pinned. I think that would be a real shame to go after the hard work they put in for 2 years.
They put so much work in for 2 years. And do you know what? This is what I'm going to say. If he's hurt, and I normally wouldn't say this, but if he's hurt because he's had that much of a role, if it's not a long-term thing where he's out for a month or two, just don't have the belts.
Just don't have the belt on it. Yeah, I think you can do that. I think you could do something with Paul Heyman saying like, I've gone to the board. You've got this power. You've got this right. You've got this contract, etc., etc. But for me, if they do have to have a tournament, for example, I think the one or two people that can win it, it's got to be Seth Rollins. To be fair, I think Seth will be in the final, and you could even go to a Cody Rhodes if you want to start at the top, or you go to Bobby Lashley. They're the three people you've been building up for a while. Not so much Cody, but the other two you have as well. But no, I think it was this was an okay match. It did what it needed to do, and for me, it was just the right way to probably end WrestleMania. It was kind of what we expected really all on. To be fair, I didn't see Roman losing, not in a million years.
Absolutely. Just before we close off the stream, just want to give a couple of points and then we'll quickly go to the final bits because I know, Jonesy, you've got work in the morning as well. Just to say very quickly, they've finally now passed the mantelpiece over. What they wanted, 7 years ago, WrestleMania 31, they finally got it. Roman, the top guy, the top dog, he's the heel, both championships, beating Brock. That's what they wanted 7 years ago. They've taken that long to get to this point. So I'm pleased they've finally got there. We can hopefully move on. To take your words out of Big E, Kofi, and Xavier, it's a new day. Do you reckon it's going to be a bit fresh now going into Raw? That we're going to get some new programs, new storylines, new direction?
I hope so. Like, if we're going on past trends, though, WrestleMania Backlash from memory last year, which is rematches. I really hope this is the point. You don't want to be doing the matches we've seen month after month. Certain matches that are the first time of happening, yet let's see them again. But for me, I'm more interested to see how people like Braun Breaker and stuff come into it, if that makes sense. That's what I'm more interested to see. But you never know. Like the fact that all the legends are going to be going now. Austin's going to be gone. Your celebs are probably gone, minus Pat McAfee potentially. Let's get back to the wrestlers that are there all year round. Let's start pushing the right people.
Absolutely, you've got to push the right people. That is the key thing indeed. And one question just being thrown to me here is, could we be presenting the unified son of the championship tonight? I reckon so.
Yeah, I think so. I think we need to do that. I'd be interested to see what they do. But it's a shame to have one belt, but then it's nostalgia. WWE always had one belt back in the 90s. Like they don't need two, so there should always be one champion. Really, the fact Roman's that good, him being on Raw and SmackDown, he has to be. Really, he's the main guy.
He certainly has to be. And just quickly as well, before we close off the stream, Jonesy, what was your favourite match of night 2 and your overall score for night 2?
Okay, favourite match for night 2. I'm going to go for the AJ Styles Edge match. I think that was really, really good. It couldn't deliver what night 1 did, but I think they did the best they could. In terms of an overall score out of 10, I'm going to go 8 out of 10. I think it did what it needed. I think they built up some future storylines. The right person won. And I just think overall, as this WrestleMania, what I kind of took from it is that a massive overhaul is kind of going to be needed. I think WWE are desperate in need of new stars and a new next generation main eventers. And over the whole weekend, nothing has really been done to build that besides Bianca Belair. I'm really hoping that over the next 12 months, we've got 12 months now to have someone else credible against Roman Reigns next year, potentially, unless they get The Rock.
Absolutely. I mean, you've got Drew, you've got Owens, you've got Zayn, you've got Bianca, you've got certain people in there that have benefited in some ways. Theory that they can push to the moon after this and need to do so in some fashion. They've got the talent there, so it's time to use them properly. And I just want to say this quickly. You said your favourite match there was Edge and Styles. What would be the star rating for that quickly?
I think 4 out of 5. I think they did really, really good. I think they had a lot of time, which was good. And it's just a shame AJ got injured on the way in. I think the match would have been potentially a 5-star if he hadn't got injured.
Just that touch better.
He was distracted. I think he was kind of frustrated because of the problem.
Absolutely. Pat McAfee, Austin Theory, what would be your star rating?
I think at that match, I'm going to go 3 out of 5. I think they did what they needed to do. I think Pat McAfee, he's the star. I think everyone's talking about Pat McAfee. No one's talking about Austin Theory after this.
Yeah, I would agree. But I'm going to go for 3.5 for me. I did enjoy that one. John Knoxville, Sami Zayn?
I'm going to go 4 out of 5. I really kind of enjoyed it. I shouldn't be saying that, but it was just superb.
Same for me. I'm going 4 out
Yeah,
of 5. It's just losing out, and I think 4 out of 5 for the opener as well. I really enjoyed
yeah,
the
I
opener
agree
with
with
the
you on
tag
that one.
match and the main event. What would you give that?
I'm going to go 2 out of 5. I think the thing is the injury played into it, but there was nothing I saw before the injury that was. I felt that I was watching a big match. I didn't feel like I was watching a Hulk Hogan, the Ultimate Warrior. You know what I mean? I didn't have that feel to me, to be fair.
Yes. Last question we've got for you then from me. Which was better, night 1 or night 2?
I'm going to go night 2 for me. I think I enjoyed it more. I've got more to talk about out of night 2 than I did night 1. But in terms of better matches, night 1 had better matches.
Night 1 had better matches, but night 2, yeah, I'm sports entertained. I like being sports entertained.
Yeah.
It was slightly pipped it for me. Last question for the stream before we leave then today. Bianca Belair, Raw Women's Championship. Who will be the challenger at WrestleMania Backlash? Who do you reckon it will be? Would it be Becky Lynch, or will we get perhaps a returning Bailey or Oscar or someone that's just not involved at the moment?
I think we'll probably potentially get a rematch. I'm going to go Becky Lynch, and I'm going to go for the potential hair versus title match. I may finally do it. I think I have to pay that off.
I think hair versus title or Iron Man, Iron Woman
I
match
like
because
that.
in the
I like
26 seconds, that would be my alternative. But
I
that's
like
all
that.
from us anyway. Thank you very much for everyone that's checking out the stream. Any more comments, let me know in the comment section after this video and I'll interact with you. And just to say, Jonesy, do you want to give your plug for your channel? Because you're going to be doing a video yourself this week, aren't you?
Yeah, so on Thursday we'll be dropping the best of the week. More than welcome to join in. And interested to hear everyone's comments. Just going to be going over the talking points out of WrestleMania and tonight's Raw. So please check it out.
Absolutely indeed. And subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Please like, do share with a friend as well. It helps grow the channel a long way. Also, thank you to everyone that's been watching and for your comments as well. And the best way to leave this stream is whatever night Vince gets a Stone Cold. Let's start that again. 1 minute. Take 2. There we go. Martin Carrillo saying whatever night Vince gets a Stone Cold Stunner is the better night. And you can't argue with that. That is the bottom line. Because we
Martin
just
said so.
Martin said so, and we agree with him. But that's all for us anyway. Take care. Thank you very much for watching anyway. You'll be watching SCW on YouTube. Hope you enjoyed WrestleMania. And yeah, we're seeing you for more videos very, very soon. Take care. All the best. See you next time. Thank you.